Welcome back to Peril Pending, and today, you all know what we're talking about. Play the music. Yes, Tetchy2 Coins has decided to do a little announcement because he has to, because of all people are holding me to account, you see. Oh, it's dreadful. I can't possibly be held accountable for my own sketchy actions. Yes, what a laugh that was. And I managed to get myself a nice screen recording, although I did unfortunately catch an ad in that, so we'll have to awkwardly skip past that bit when we get to it. But here we are. We're going to look at everything, well, most of, what Farage had to say and debunk every last little bit of it. Let's get into it.
Conservatives have now, by us, been reduced to nothing more than a rump. It seems to me that the establishment have now decided that they can't beat us fairly, so they've chosen to use foul means. Let me be absolutely clear. After the furore and the media pile-on, well, not just the media, the other political parties too. Let me be absolutely clear. I have done nothing wrong.
Oh yes, woe is all poor little Nigel. The media are attacking me. Every single party is attacking me. What's the attack, you might ask? Oh well, we just want to know why you keep getting money from really sketchy businessmen and criminals, and we want to know that. Well, we want to know why, after receiving all this money from sketchy businessmen and criminals, why you then suddenly started to bat for them when, for example, you went to talk to the Bank of England about scrapping the Brit coin, because it kind of looks like they've paid for you to go in and change British legislation so that they would be able to benefit from it. But apparently that's an attack. Poor old little Nigel, look at him there with his puppy dog eyes. He hasn't had a pint in weeks.
I have not broken the law in any way at all. I have not misused public money. And you know, for the first 2 years of being an MP, my personal MP expenses are zero. Not, of course, that you'll read about that in mainstream media.
Yes, well, you won't read about that in mainstream media because it's a lie. MPs don't get personal expenses. They do get business expenses, and it's perfectly fine for MPs to use those, as you have. You can see here, office costs, stationery costs, software costs. That's ordinary, and you have used it. There is no personal levy of money that you get as an MP, so that's just a lie, dude.
And yes, of course, Parliament has its rules about how members ought to behave. And I believe I've absolutely obeyed those rules and done so.
Well, then if you believe that you've obeyed them, why are you doing this little circus here? Why not just allow the investigations to continue and then they will find that you're innocent?
Under getting good legal advice. The standard rules are clear. This is what they say. The code applies to members in all aspects of their public life. It does not seek to regulate what members do in their purely personal lives. Now, it would seem from...
Well, I mean, you missed out quite a few bits there, mate. But don't worry, your old friend Peril Pending's here to sort that out, because I'm sure you didn't mean to leave that out. Yes, so it also says that gifts of £300 or more, which were received from sources outside the UK, need to be, what's it called again? They need to be, gosh, it's completely escaped my mind. You need to declare them, which 5 million from a Thailand-based billionaire is a bit more than 300. It also states that if the member considers that it might reasonably be thought of by others to influence his or her actions or words as a member in the same way as a financial interest, then of course it should also be declared. And of course, Posh George and Christopher Harborne both have stakes in Tether, the cryptocurrency, which might end up losing some money if the Bank of England's Bitcoin went into the country. And you've been levying them to not do that. So can you understand how you've clearly broken 5 million is more than 300? You have been influenced because you're talking with the Bank of England to prevent a Bitcoin going out that would negatively impact the wallets of the two people that gave you money. So it doesn't matter if you pick one where you think it's got, like, you can skirt past that. You've clearly broke these two.
From the last couple of years, from the way I've been treated, that the
homeowners in council tax bands C to
Oh,
G.
there's the advert. Caught me off guard again. Let's just skip past this bit. We don't need to see about council tax bans.
They object to any MP that has outside income. Indeed, they view those that have continuing business interests with severe scepticism.
Yeah, they do. And they did for Nadeem Zawari, Rishi Sunak, pretty much anybody who had a job outside of being an MP. People don't like the fact that you can have two jobs. It's fine, in my opinion, if you're a doctor, a nurse, a paramedic, someone who's helping the community. But like a businessman, it seems really weird. It seems very odd, because then you get in situations like this where you're clearly using your position to try and make their lives a lot better.
Making money is not a crime.
Nobody has said it's a crime.
Now, going back to the 90s, I was in the commodity markets. I had a very, very good, high-earning career. I gave that up at a huge cost. Being a member of the European Parliament for 20 years cost me a huge amount of money, but I did.
Just to clarify, in case nobody's aware of this, because I wasn't, so I thought, like, oh gosh, he was an MEP. That probably pays quite a bit, because I mean, right now, your salary is 98,000 as an MP. So yeah, as an MEP, his salary was around £90,000 a year. And because he was an MEP, he also gets the MEP pension, which means that he can claim £73,000 a year for the rest of his life. So the idea that it cost him quite a lot, I say, is a lie.
Did it because I had a goal. I had a goal and a belief that we should leave the European Union, get back to being a self-regulating nation that makes its own laws, charts its own destiny, and among other things, of course, controls its own borders. We might not yet, 10 years on, have reaped as many of the benefits as we ought, but one day, I believe we will.
Yes, I'm sure. One day in the future. You can't point to it, you can't explain how we'd get there, but yeah, you believe that 1 year, 10 years apparently isn't enough. Apparently 10 years is just where we see all the decline, because that's all that Brexit's done. You know, Brexit has decimated business in Britain.
And let's be frank, if I hadn't done what I'd done, there would have been no referendum, there would have been no Brexit. I came out at the end of that with very little money indeed. But over the last 10 years, I've been writing, I've been lecturing, I've been broadcasting, I've been investing. I promoted 1 or 2 financial products, and for those that followed me into them, they've more than doubled their money, which I'm pleased about. I also worked...
No evidence of that, by the way. Again, we're just supposed to trust him here.
...extensively in those years of 2021 to 2024 as an influencer with over 7 million followers on social media. So yes, over the last 10 years, I have financially done well, but that of itself should not be looked upon as a crime. And yes, I had the equivalent of a lottery win, a large personal gift. And I'll come to that and the details of that in just a second. The really big question that I want to pose is, do we want leaders that know how to make money? Do we want leaders that have run businesses, employed people, and understand how the world works?
No, we don't. This is the same thing that Trump did. And look at America. It is worse by every measure than before he was in office. But to bring things a bit closer to home, Farage, you just said, basically you took responsibility for Brexit. You basically said as much there. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't have happened. Brexit, like I just mentioned, absolutely decimated business in Britain. So I really don't think you understand business.
works. Well, I'm going to argue today we absolutely need successful people from all walks of life, but particularly from business and industry. We need them not just in Parliament, we need them in government if we're even going to have half a chance of turning around the dire economic state this country now finds itself in. Contrast that with a cabinet, 24 men and women, not one of whom has any serious experience of private business, who frankly haven't got a clue. So don't be...
Yeah, because if we had a cabinet full of businessmen, then the NHS would run perfectly, would it? The trains would run fantastically, would they? The roads would be paved perfectly, would they? Because so far, you've touted yourself as this amazing businessman. And so far, the only policy that you've been able to put your name to is Brexit, which was the single worst thing to ever happen to this country. And it's the thing the majority of Brits now want to reverse. But, you know, you keep blowing that horn, mate.
Be surprised that in economic terms, we are going down the drain.
Down the drain, thanks in no short part to Brexit, a disaster that once again, let's all remember this, he just took ownership for.
Now, Standards investigating me over the gift has now reared its head again as a result of a lot of copy in this week's Sunday Times, incidentally written by a journalist who publicly says that he despises me.
Yeah, so you're Nigel Farage. You are despised by quite a lot of people in Britain. So, I mean, I don't know what this has to do with the facts that he put out.
And despite the fact that many of the things that were written in the article were wholly inaccurate.
If they were inaccurate, then here's something you can do. You should take him to court, because that way you'd be able to, you know, get it redacted, get it updated, get him to apologise. You know, similar to how you said you were going to take Ben Habib to court. You know, when he said that you were given money by Christopher Harborne to help Boris Johnson get into government. Oh yes, I forgot about that. You didn't actually end up taking him to court, do you? I wonder why you haven't taken this journalist either.
Or indeed irrelevant, yet another Standards investigation is underway. Standards are now being used as a political tool.
No, they are not. You're just a really sketchy guy, and once again, you keep claiming innocence on all these. So what does it matter if they're being used as a political weapon, like you say, a political tool? You're going to be found to be innocent. But on another point, you were very happy when Angela Rayner was being investigated, so why should it be any different for you?
On the gift, it was given to me on an unconditional basis. I can do with that money exactly as I wish. But there is a much bigger reason why I'm going to need that money, and it's simply this. For over 20 years now, I have been
Just before we go on to him just pitying himself once more, Farage, the story has changed quite a bit about that 5 million, hasn't it? But if it is true, then why are you doing this? Again, I have to ask, why not let those investigations run? You'll be found to be innocent, according to you, and then you can continue on. What's happening here is it's a circus. It's a smokescreen. It's clearly an effort by you to cover up your obvious corruption, and I gotta say, it's pathetic, and it's not working at all.
Subject to constant demonisation by the press. For daring to be outside the consensual view on many issues, I've been attacked again and again.
You'll notice, and I'm sure many of you have already picked up on this, let me know in the comments below if you have, but whenever anybody asks Farage a question, Reform a question, Richard Tice, really any of them a question, it's an attack. It's always an attack. When somebody else is quizzed, oh, that's perfectly fine. The people deserve an answer. Oh, you're holding us to the same standards? This is an attack, and we cannot allow you elite journalists. Yes, forget about the fact that Richard Tice's wife is a journalist for Talk TV, and Talk TV go very light on us. And yes, we are also constantly on GBBs. In fact, I, Nigel Farage, host my own show on there, but we're not the elite. We're not the media. These are attacks.
And I am the most physically and verbally attacked public figure or politician of modern times.
I mean, this one goes without saying, doesn't it? Joe Cox and David Amos were murdered. They're dead. You had a milkshake chucked at you. I don't condone that either. But for you to stand there with your flags and your shitty background and claim that you are the most verbally and physically attacked politician in modern times, while two politicians are dead and buried, is insane. And I really don't know how you thought that would come off.
Yes, you will know of some of the incidents: milkshakes thrown in my face, placards bashed over my head. But let me promise you, you only know about a fraction of the number.
Yeah, he promises. This is Nigel Farage, so what is promise worth again? -5 million?
Of times that I've been assaulted. One little example you've probably never heard of. It was a Sunday afternoon a few years ago in the local village pub. In come the mob, about 50 of them. We decided the safest thing to do was, as quickly as possible, to get into the car and to drive away. But the mob surrounded the car, banging on the bonnet and the windscreen, kicking the side of the doors. It was a genuinely dangerous and terrifying situation to be in. The car was written off. I didn't even bother with an insurance claim. I did everything I could not to make it public.
Bullshit. That could not be more obvious of a lie. Nigel, buddy, you're not a good actor. I've read lines before, and that's exactly what that looked like. It looked like you were just reading lines. There wasn't even any cues to show any kind of emotion. Obviously, after he made this announcement, I did have a little look around, and there's zero evidence of this at all. Unsurprisingly, there's a Daily Mail article claiming it happened, but their evidence is what he just said there. They're just literally quoting this and saying it happened without any thought. I mean, that's the Daily Mail for you. There's no evidence. What local village pub? What local village pub? In a world of smartphones, not one person in this mob, not one person in the pub behind you, on the street, your posse, nobody thought to take out their phone and at least snap a picture. Farage, you are the most pathetic MP there ever was. You're also kind of the most celebrity-esque kind of style MP. Somebody would have snapped a photo of this. Unsurprisingly as well. Oh, there's no insurance claim. The car's written off. I'm not going to tell you what the local pub was, but it definitely happened. How did you think this would play? This is... I mean, let me know in the comments down below. Do you buy this? Do you believe this? Ludicrous.
But these are the kind of things that I've had to put up with over many, many years.
Yeah, imaginary stories.
And over the last year, it's got worse, with an attack on my home, very similar to the one that...
Oh, yeah, yes, that'll be the attack where he claimed it was firebombed. But again, unsurprisingly, there was no evidence. There was no police report. There was no photos, no pictures, nothing whatsoever. But it definitely did happen. You can trust me. I'm Nigel Farage, the politician who's never lied. Although, what's that big word I keep thinking of? There was something on a bus, wasn't there?
The Prime Minister suffered. And literally, daily, online calls for me to be murdered. For some reason, that doesn't seem to worry the police. Repeatedly over the years, I asked the Home Secretary for help. I was rejected again and again. And in that period, when I wasn't in elected politics, between 2021 and 2024, I ran up personally very, very substantial bills to make sure that I was safe. When I became an MP, Parliament said, yes, we will help you with security. But almost unbelievably, just a couple of days after the murder of Charlie Kirk,
Absolutely no idea why he brings up Charlie Kirk here. No idea. Maybe to try and elicit a similar emotion, but buddy, I mean, your supporters aren't going to know who Charlie Kirk is.
70% of that security funding was withdrawn. I am going to need security for the rest of my life, and I cannot even tell you how grateful I am to Christopher Harborne, because now I will never ever need to worry about whether I've got the resource. Well, the new attack...
Well, gonna have to pull you up on that one again, Nigel baby. Christopher Harborne gave you £5 million. Well, you have previously stated that the cost is more than 1 million per year. So we're going to have to mark this one as a lie. Oosh, oosha, doosha. It isn't going well for you, buddy. It isn't going well.
from the media is that somehow I am a crook, I am dishonest. Yet another reason to hate me. Commentators over the weekend have said, oh, look at the interviews Nigel's doing. He's not himself. He's getting angry.
This is a good one. This is a good one. I think he thought he really cooked on this one. But, after he's given it, I'll immediately tear it apart.
Well, here's why. For some reason last week, the editor of the Times newspaper decided to publish a picture of where my daughter lives. There is no public interest in my daughter whatsoever. She is not involved in current affairs, doesn't seek to be involved in current affairs, and has never been used by me once at any point in my political
Apart from right now.
career. No photographs on election addresses or anything like that. I've always done my absolute best to protect the privacy and safety of my family. By publishing that photograph, the editor of the Times has directly threatened her security. I wonder what happened to the Leveson inquiry of years ago, an inquiry that sought to bring better balance between what the press could do.
You know what? Yeah, I'd love to have a Leveson too. I wonder how GBBs would fare with that.
And families of those in public life. Worse still, she now has broadcasters haranguing her. Sky News were one of them, and when I questioned them on it, they willfully and deliberately lied and said on their channel that they hadn't contacted the family. Well, let me be clear. I will not tolerate intimidation of my family. I will not tolerate the location of where they live being revealed. I will not tolerate any of my family being endangered because of what I choose to do in public life. So yes, you can ask, am I angry? But I've never been angrier in my life.
Right, well, wasn't that wonderful? Oh, I'm such a caring father. I've never used my daughter in politics. Never, ever, I swear. And I was only angry because they released information about her. Well, you were really angry and tetchy in the interviews talking about the £5 million donation. Those are the ones everyone's talking about. You haven't done anything since, apart from recently where you threatened a journalist at the airport, the Sky News one, I believe. So that was on June 23rd. The information about your homes came out on the 1st of July. So when you were really angry and when you were being described as not yourself on June, how was that because because there was information that had been released in July? Do you understand how time works, Nigel? Do you understand how that's another big fat lie? You were angry because you were finally being found out for the crook you are. Later on, that's when you can use your daughter and say that you're being angry for that. Because that happened in July, which comes after June.
I'm also pretty upset with the behaviour of this Labour government. They began in 2025 and then tried again into 2026 to cancel elections for taxpayers, and to do so on a vast and epic scale, albeit with the connivance of the Conservative Party. Why? Well, of course, fear.
This, honestly, I couldn't really comment on. I looked it up. Honestly, I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. I mean, I'm pretty convinced that whatever it is, it's a lie or it's some twist of the actual truth, but I've got no idea what he's talking about. If anybody has a clue, please drop it in the comments below. I'd love to look it up.
Of reform. I'm proud of the fact that we fought a legal action that got nearly 5 million council tax voters the right to go out.
It is good, though, that he wanted to get people to go out and vote. That's good. At least he wanted people to go out and vote. He's surely not going to counter that point almost immediately after this, is he?
On May the 7th and give their view. Now, of course, they want to reduce the voting age down to 16.
Oh, it's almost like clockwork. So you were really happy that you got a bunch of people to go out and vote that weren't going to be able to vote. And then Labour have got even more people to vote who previously weren't able to vote. But that's the bad kind. So when you did it, it was the good one. But when Labour do it, it's the bad one? It almost seems like you're terrified of the youth vote. Odd.
Again, they think that will help damage reform. And just a couple of weeks ago, following the Makerfield by-election, they've changed the voting rules for the Manchester mayoral by-election. They've gone away from first past the post, again for fear that reform might win.
Well, yes, you could argue that it's because they think reform might win. You could also argue that they believe it's because the Greens might win. But of course, you can't say that because, well, you're Nigel Farage and you could never be impartial.
And now they've come after our money. Now, to be clear, in the early days after the last general election, it was the huge increase in our membership at £25 a time that actually got us into a position where we could build a proper party. Over the last year, some big donors have been attracted to us. Extraordinary. These are men who've gone off as entrepreneurs around the world and succeeded. The sort of people we used to admire over centuries. Now,
speak for yourself. I have never admired those kinds of people. What Farage is talking about here is he's talking about the cap on donations from outside of the UK that Labour is introducing. They want to put a £100,000 cap on people who aren't currently living in Britain, so that basically foreign entities can't control our politics. I wonder why Farage is upset at that.
Our government ministers refer to them in Parliament as malign actors. And so they keep changing all the rules again and again, just...
That, I'm afraid, is another lie. They don't keep changing the rules over and over again. This is one new rule they've introduced, and it's a rule that, personally, I think is welcome. If you want to donate to a political party in the UK, you should at least live in the UK, because then it'll have a direct effect on you. If you live outside of the UK and you give all these you give a party so much money that, they give you a little throwback, then how's that in the best interests of the country? How's that going to fix broken Britain, like you say?
To stop reform. Frankly, it is like living in a communist country. I could never have believed such a thing would happen.
That's absolutely insane, because the cap only qualifies for those who are living outside the UK. So, for example, Christopher Harbour has already started saying that he might move back to the UK, because once he's in the UK, there's no cap. Why is Nigel Farage so upset that foreign powers can't buy elections in the UK? I wonder.
Here. Ignore the fact, of course, that over decades peerages have been given to donors, and that Labour's donors in the run-up to the 2024 general election now seem to have been awarded the most extraordinary government.
So is the argument here that because one party did something bad, your party should be allowed to do something bad as well? That's an unusual line.
Contracts. Perhaps Dominic Cummings was right last year when he said Whitehall will break the law to stop reform winning power. and we've been subject in the last few months to the use of illegally obtained information, firm evidence of computer hacking, and now...
This, my friends, is of course a lie. There is no firm evidence of computer hacking, as Farage puts it. We'll all know Farage claimed that the Russians hacked his phone and apparently his bank and his computer. He then says that he submitted it to an expert, won't say who the expert is or what company they work for. He just submitted to an expert who was able to confirm that apparently it comes from a Russian origin. Nobody in the NCA has been notified. Nobody at MI6 has been notified. Nobody at the Met has been notified. Why is Farage... He's either lying or he's covering for this Russian hack, because you're a sitting British MP and you are saying that a Russian entity basically attacked the UK state, and you're either lying or you're protecting them, because you kind of have to report that to the NCA, MI6 or the Met at the very least, so they can confirm it, because that's pretty serious, and you have not done that. I wonder why Farage doesn't want to get the Russians in trouble. And I also wonder why Farage is upset that foreign entities can't buy elections over here. Who knows? Do you have any idea? I would be interested to read them if you let me know down below.
Now leaks from government agencies. And this is all, of course, a great distraction, because we're about to get a Prime Minister who's coming in with no mandate whatsoever. He didn't even stand on the 20...
Oh, this one again. This was picked up by the BBC. Farage, how many of your Tory defectors ran by-elections after they had stood as a part of the Tory party, got elected because they represented the Tory party, and then moved over to Reform? How many of them have stood for by-election? Yes, 0. It's 0. You'll notice throughout this entire video that Farage always claims that, they're trying to stop us from doing X, but they did X. And in this situation here, it's they should do Y. No, we're not going to do Y, but they should do Y. He's not even good at this. Over a decade in politics, and he's not even good at this. He can't even act. That story about his car being attacked. Ridiculous.
2024 manifesto. This country needs a general election, even if Labour, the Conservatives and the media don't want it. And whilst this pile-on against reform happens, the boats continue to cross the English Channel.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tried true, but he's talking out of his arse. I mean, I'm not a fan of any of this. The way that Labour is sort of kneeling to the far right here, but migration has dropped to its lowest levels since 2012. Obviously, excluding the pandemic, those were unusual times. But yeah, the figures are as low as they were in 2012. So Farage, you're just talking at your arse there. How low are they supposed to be? Thanks to Brexit, we're kind of fucked in so many fields that we need immigration. Also, the declining birth rate. How are you going to fix that? The country will fall if we don't have people.
Channel. Our fractured defences make us look weaker and weaker again.
I don't know what he's talking about with fractured defences. Once again, oops, that's the wrong one. Just if you compared to the NATO allies, we're second. We're the second highest for defence budget. It's 65.8 billion roughly, and the only country that beats us in defence spending is the US. And honestly, 65.8 billion, we're a tiny island. We don't even need that. That's crazy. How much more does he want to spend on defence? Honestly, these are playground politics and he hasn't got a fucking clue.
Hence what I think is now an increasingly dangerous Vladimir Putin.
You are Putin's puppet, remember? Remember? Why aren't you reporting the Russian hacker?
Business confidence is the lowest it's now been for 16 years. And
thanks to Brexit.
I speak to you from a capital city where men can't wear watches and women can't wear jewellery.
This, of course, is a big stonking lie. If you're in London, men, you can wear watches. Women, you can wear jewellery. Women can wear watches and men can wear jewellery. You can kind of wear watches and jewellery. I don't know where he's got this statistic from or any of this evidence from. I think this is just more dog whistling from a man who's definitely losing the plot.
On the street. Britain is broken and the public know it, and we need change. Now, the issue with my daughter was the final straw. Enough is enough. And I thought over the weekend, what shall I do? I could go out and try and make some real big money. I could go to the USA, where I've got plenty of offers.
Oh yeah, classic man of the working man there. Buddy, you just got you called it a lottery win. You got a 5 million bung from Christopher Harborne. Is that not big money? I don't think he sees how out of touch this makes him. Oh yeah, I only have 5 properties and £5 million. That's absolutely nothing. If I left politics, I could make big money. Buddy, 5 million. This makes you look so out of touch.
And then I thought, why should I be judged? Today, or in history in the future, by Sky News and their ilk? Why should they be the people that decide my fate when, as I repeat, I've done nothing wrong?
If you've done nothing wrong, then why are you running? Why not just continue on with the job, allow the investigations to run their course, and then they'll show you're innocent? And then, honestly, you'd have a bit more of a weight behind you to say this is an establishment plot to get rid of me. But you know that won't be the case, don't you? You know that on every single one of these accounts, on every 4 of these investigations, and I'm sure there will be more, you'll be found to have broken the rules. Maybe you would have even been found to have broken some criminal rules.
I've thought about it hard, and I've decided today I will resign as a member of Parliament.
That's how much he cares for you, Clacton. This is how much he cares for you. He hasn't worked there since 2024 when he obviously ran to be the MP for years. Hasn't worked in over a year and a half. And now he's going to create this whole media circus around you instead of just getting on and doing his job, because he knows that if the investigations, which I'm pretty sure they will now, prove that he broke these rules, he would have to run with that on his back, the fact that he's a liar on his back. But if he does this now, he gets in front of it, basically. It's transparent. This is what he's trying to do. Let me know in the comments below if I'm being tinfoil hat here, but I'm pretty sure this is what he's trying to do. If he gets in front of it, this is his best and only hope, really, isn't it? Because, again, you're not really going to have much weight to try and claim it's an establishment coup when the investigations haven't even concluded yet. But this is better than if they had concluded and found you to have broken them.
For Clacton-on-Sea, thereby forcing a by-election, which would happen, I hope, in short order. No, I've decided that the people of Clacton should be the judges of my actions.
They were always going to be the judges of your actions, because if these investigations were allowed to run their course without your interference here, you would end up having to call a by-election because you get suspended for breaking the rules. If you truly are innocent like you think you are, then what's all this for?
This will be a people versus the establishment by-election.
Farage taking the position of the establishment in this fight.
It's a chance to stick 2 fingers up to the entire establishment, to frankly tell them where to go. And that is why I will be putting my name forward to stand in this by-election. I will fight to win. I will fight to continue the political revolution that reform has started. And I would say this to you, the voters of Clacton: if I win, you win. Because if I lose, they win. And we will never, with the 2 old parties.
Who's they? Who's they exactly? Somebody who'll actually do the job? What do you mean if you win, Clacton wins? You haven't worked there in over a year and a half. In fact, it was only last month that your people went down there and actually put up some of your party materials in the surgery. You've never held a surgery there. You cried that you couldn't because it was too much of a threat. But then an investigation found, oh, that was bullshit. There's no threat whatsoever. And now you've got your 5 million bung, so you've got your security, you just said, for the rest of your life. And yet still, no surgeries. You have not worked a day in your life for Clacton. So how on earth, if you win again, is it a win for them?
Get the type of fundamental change that we need to fix broken Britain. Thank you.
Britain that is broken because of Brexit, by the way. And I'm sure he's well aware of that. Bloody hell. So yeah, look at that. Farage is stepping down. This could have been 2 minutes. He could have just said that instead of sucking his own dick the whole time. But one funny thing that happened immediately after this, I'm not a fan of Rupert Lowe, but this is quite funny. Nigel Farage obviously immediately got owned by Rupert Lowe, who tweeted, Farage has proven one thing today and one thing only. Everything that he does is about one person, Nigel Farage. The people of Clacton do not need a media circus descending on their town over a busy tourist season because their MP has made a series of bad decisions. He should have declared that £5 million. He knows it, and we all know it. Now he is going to weaponise a by-election to distract from that. And this is going to cost the taxpayer a fortune. £250,000. Eye-watering sums of money. And think about what that money could do for the people of Clacton. Oh, I should probably read that last bit. Will Farage fund it out of his own pocket? Because he bloody well should. And wouldn't you know it, maybe about 5 minutes after this, Farage tweeted saying, I have spoken to the CEO of Trending District Council. Reform has offered to cover the cost of the by-election. I will be writing to Rachel Reeves later today with the same message. Given that we asked for this by-election in the first place, it's only right that we pay for it. Yeah, you weren't going to do that, were you? Rupert Lowe immediately called you out because this is going to, £250,000 for your vanity project. So you can run away from these investigations, which, by the way, as I understand it, are going to continue anyways. You're not getting out of this. You're just trying to jump ahead. But honestly, what could it be that, let's say he gets re-elected. It doesn't really look like it. But let's say he gets re-elected. These investigations are going to continue. If he gets suspended, is that another by-election? Will he be paying for that one as well, Farage? £500,000 for your vanity projects? Where's that money coming from? Is it coming from your £5 million bung? Well, you've just said that you've spent it on security, but that you could also spend it on Ferraris and horses, and that it doesn't really matter what you... This whole thing has just been Farage lying, sucking his own dick, sucking his thumb, and whinging. Goodness gracious me, there has never been a more pitiful, pathetic politician than Nigel Farage. But those are just my thoughts. I'll catch you in the next one. No, wait, that's it wrong. God, I've been ranting so much I forgot. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And I'll catch you next time while the peril's still pending.